How do you ensure that your art supplies are actually better for the planet? How do you make eco-friendly choices when buying art supplies? In this video, I'm going to show you how to be a more eco-friendly artist. Traditionally, art and creativity have been mediums to test the status quo, to initiate change, criticize society, and to break taboos. And in this time of change and self-reflection, it's become only more important to better ourselves and try to be part of a solution for a more sustainable world. For creatives, that means understanding where your tools and supplies come from. But how do you know if your art is truly cruelty-free? How can you tell if you're actually purchasing sustainable art supplies? Now, while there's tons of information online about veganism, sustainability, and animal testing in food, clothing, cosmetics, there's not much being done about art supplies. Reliable information can be difficult to find, and in this particular industry is very polluting, but offers very little transparency. Many harmful thinners, solvents, and pigments are derived from heavy metals and other toxic and environmentally harmful ingredients. There are many effects of art supplies on your health and on the environment. So how do you become a more eco-friendly artist? Here are 5 tips to help you clear your conscience. Number 1, know what's in your paint. Traditionally, many pigments are made extremely toxic pigments. Life expectancy of artists in the past was actually a lot lower than what it is today. Many artists suffered from symptoms of poisoning from the toxins that they were in contact with every day. Some people suspect that Van Gogh actually suffered from lead poisoning. Kind of explains the haircut. Lead white was actually praised for its opacity and light fastness, but it's highly toxic and can cause hallucinations and serious health problems. Nowadays, lead white and lead based products are banned in pretty much all countries. Probably not North Korea. Other heavy metals that are still actually in use today include manganese, beryllium, and cobalt. To choose less harmful products. A less toxic and more recent alternative to cadmium are AZO pigments, which fortunately are now widely available as well. And all of these are less harmful to your health, but tend to have less vivid or beautiful looking colors. Some artists prefer pigments with heavy metals despite the health risks. Live life on the edge. Fun is in the danger. A real easy way to recognize imitation pigments is by the word hue, which indicates that a pigment matches in terms of coloration, but does not actually contain the actual pigment it's named after. A color called manganese blue hue will not actually contain manganese. On the other hand, a name like cadmium red genuine indicates that the paint does actually contain heavy metals. Number 3, watch out for plastics. Plastic is a very common ingredient in paint, glue, lacquer, and varnish. This often goes by the name of acrylic, polyurethane, polyester, and glue. It's often thought that acrylic paint is water-based, but it's actually not. It's actually plastic-based, mixed with a solvent that makes it water-soluble. So rinsing your acrylic paintbrushes in the sink will then lead to said plastics in the paint to end up in the environment, where it can potentially cause a lot of damage. Plastics also widely used in adhesives and sealants. And now, while in the past these were traditionally made from animal bones or rabbit skin, a lot of these have been replaced by synthetic alternatives, often based on different types of plastics. chemical solvents. It's a well-known fact that inhaling fumes from certain things is really bad for your health, like turpentine or body deodorant. If you don't know this, why don't you know this? Drying of solvents such as turpentine, but also in the curing of certain glues and varnishes, toxic gases are released, which are referred to as volatile organic compounds. Many types of markers and pen inks also contain these VOCs. Inhaling these toxic fumes can cause a range of health defects, but in general, you can just assume that it's all pretty much toxic to some degree, unless it's specifically made for children. Dispose of your supplies properly. Most of the substances we use on a day-to-day basis are not only bad for your health, but can be absolutely devastating for the environment. Separate your paint, thinners, and other chemicals and dispose of them appropriately. Do not rinse your paintbrushes in the sink. I don't know why that's even a thing or why we're taught to do that when growing up, but don't do that. Make sure you work in a well-ventilated area and avoid toxic ingredients where possible. If you're mindful of all the things I've mentioned in this video, your health and the environment will thank you for it. Now, as a vegan artist, hard to navigate in this complicated and often confusing world. So for my good friend Colleen, this part of the video is for you. The only way to actually find out if your art supplies are 100% vegan is to contact the manufacturer or the brand itself and inquire. But I've put together a list of 8 common animal-derived ingredients to look out for when shopping for art supplies. Beeswax and animal fat in crayons or pencils. Animal hair in paintbrushes. Animal gelatin in paper, glue, and ink. Glycerine, obviously animal-derived, used as the wetting agent in watercolor paint. Animal-derived pigment, ivory black, which is commonly used in paints and inks. Carmine as a dye in ink. Oxgal as a binding agent in watercolor paint. Animal shellac in varnish or India ink. And that's it for this week's video. If you stuck around to the end, thank you very much. I hope you learned something and it was enjoyable for you. So don't forget to hit that thumbs up. And if it was something really mind-blowing, why not hit that subscribe? It's like right there. If you feel I left something out in the video or you have something to add to educate us all, drop me a comment. We can all learn together, because every day is a school day. If you have a suggestion of the topic for my next video, go ahead and leave me a suggestion in the comments. I'll see you all next week. Thank you.